Bamba, when we acquired him, it was looked at as like a great acquisition, right? A young, very raw center, a guy that can come in that we can grow, develop, shoots 40% from three, so you could stretch the floor, great shot blocker. But again, a little raw, right? Needs to learn to just, take a breath, stay in control, better read the offense, so that way he can make more bigger, impactful defensive plays. But what you got with him is a guy that can come in, play in spots, because Anthony Davis is going to play the bulk of the center minutes. But what Mo gave you is a guy with size, a 7-footer that has an insane wingspan. He's got like a 7'6", 7'10" wingspan, something that just sounds completely made up, but in reality, it's real. And guy that can come in and play in spots that we could grow and develop and keep for the long haul. Somebody that is young enough to be a part of this core that we are putting together, that can eventually take over the reins when, LeBron and AD end up leaving, right? We'll see what happens in 2 years. LeBron, he may or may not stay when his contract's up. And then Anthony Davis, his contract's up around the same time. But I could see him still riding out, still staying. But Mo Bamba is a guy that you could play next to AD, or you could bring up after AD, right? Have him be the backup. But regardless, it was just a nice, solid acquisition that went with the youth movement. And we got to see 7 games of Mo. And in those 7 games, he gave us 4 points, 5 rebounds, and just under a block per game in 11 minutes played, which is very solid, right? In those times, in those spurts. He didn't play every game that we played because there were certain just matchup issues. He has a hard time guarding smaller guys, gets into foul trouble quickly. So that was understandable. But he did start a game for us when AD was out, in which we won that game. And then also, he had some nice stints, some nice moments, some nice runs. He had a game where he hit like 3 threes, I believe, 3 or 4 threes, which was huge. But he ends up rolling his ankle in the Warriors game. We still ended up winning that game. And it just is a question that's kind of been up in the air ever since, right? What's going to happen with Mo Bamba? We saw him last game in a boot, right, just like LeBron James. These ankle injuries have been killing us this year. D'Angelo Russell's still out with one, but he's expected to return soon, hopefully the Toronto game. But Mo, we were waiting on an update, and we officially got that update. So Mo Bamba appears done for the season. He may be able to return for the playoffs, but we'll see how this goes. So, according to Shams and many others, this has been reported by countless people, but I know most people are familiar with Shams. Lakers' Mo Bamba is out for at least 4 weeks with a high left ankle sprain, team says. So he is going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks. That is basically the end of our season, right? I mean, our last game is April 9th, I believe. So we're literally, if at best case scenario, we'll be back sometime in the first round. If we make the playoffs, which I believe we will. But if not, he might miss, he could be out the entire season, right? If we don't make the playoffs, or if, say, we lose in the first round or something, we might not see Mo till next year, which is really unfortunate, right? Because you could use his size, use his length, use his shot blocking ability, his rebounding, all those things really help. So now the Lakers, luckily, still have that open roster spot, and they got to get another center, right? Anthony Davis, again, is going to play the bulk of the center minutes. And, you do have like Winning Gabriel, but Winning Gabriel, he's not 7 feet, right? He's not a true center. He's best at center as that high energy, small ball center that can match up. But for some of these bigger teams, you need a big true center. So the question becomes, well, who should they replace him with? Now, DeMarcus Cousins, I think, makes a lot of sense. He's familiar with the Lakers. He's familiar with Anthony Davis. He has chemistry with Anthony Davis. He's a guy that would be great if we do end up playing, say, Memphis, or we do end up playing, the Denver Nuggets in the first round. A guy that can just bang with the Joker, guy that can wear him down, match his size, match his physicality, so that way Anthony Davis doesn't have to get worn down trying to duke it out with him. If we play like the Clippers, you could throw a guy like him on Ibaka Zubac and just wear him down and just kind of get in his head. Now, he also has the ability to stretch the floor. Problem is his injury history, right? We are not having, knock on wood, the best of luck with injury history this year. And so that could be a real concern. You get him, you bring him in, he plays a handful of games and then he's hurt. And it's like, well, now we don't have any center. That's definitely a concern. The other thing is just his mental, right? He is a technical guy. He loves to get technicals. He's high energy, high passion, which I love. But sometimes it could be an issue and a distraction from the team. Even Bob Myers told him, there's a whole interview and stuff about that where he's like, why won't anyone sign me? Why can't I get to a team? I still believe I have something left. And he was great in a backup role last year, but teams are still weary. And Bob Myers said, because teams are scared of what you're going to do. Teams are scared that you're going to come in and you're just going to disrupt what they got going on. And teams have that concern, which is a real concern, right? Any free agent is going to have some type of issues, right? If they didn't, then guess what? They would be on a roster, especially a center, a quality center, a center that could stretch the floor like DeMarcus Cousins. Also, we've seen DeMarcus Cousins, he has to play limited minutes, which might not be a bad thing, right? Anthony Davis, again, he's probably going to play 35 to 40 minutes. So you just need a guy to come in, play, 15 to 20 minutes most. DeMarcus Cousins, we've seen though, if he plays 15 minutes, he kind of has to take a game or two off. So how is his conditioning? How are the things with him and his mind and his body? Is he going to be able to be prepared to come in and play a heavy role? Because we're probably going to need that. Probably going to need him to come in and play 15 to 20 minutes a game, right? In certain matchups, you could run, of course, winning Gabriel, but it'd be nice to have a DeMarcus Cousins. You could even slot him next to AD and have the two of them kind of run that twin tower thing. They have the chemistry. He's also a really good passer, underrated passer for a big man. So I do think that he can absolutely have an impact. But in my opinion, he's my second choice. My first choice is Hassan Whiteside personally. Now, again, he has his issues, right? He thinks he's Anthony Davis when in reality he's not, right? He's a guy that has incredible talent, incredible rebounder, great shot blocker, great defensive help, right? He is like Mo Bamba all grown up minus the shooting. He doesn't have the shooting ability, right? Which might not be the biggest thing in the world. We got shooters, we got guys. We need a defensive paint presence. And he has always shown that he is great. Whether he's a starter, a backup, whatever, you name it, he is great. Even in limited minutes, he's been great. But again, is he going to come in and think that he is Mr. Hotshot and just kind of take away from the team, right? Last thing you want to do is bring somebody in that's going to be a locker room issue, and now you're, trying to navigate that, and it just becomes a mess. But even in limited runs, so like last year, for example, for Utah, he played 17.9 minutes per game, so basically 18 minutes per game. And in that 18 minutes, he gave you 8 points and just under 8 rebounds. So the guy almost gave you a double-double every night for Utah in basically 17, 18 minutes per game. And he gave you just under 2 blocks. Do you know how impactful that would be for the Lakers if you had a guy that could give you 8 and 8 on limited time and give you 2 block shots a game? That would be fantastic. I think he would have the biggest impact on the Lakers this year. But again, can he stay out of his mental? Can he come in, humble himself, and play the role that is asked of him? Hey, some nights you might get a DMP. You need to be okay with that. Some nights you may start. Some nights you may come off the bench. Whatever it is that the team needs you to do, can you do that and buy in? If he can, sign him. Let's get him. Let's go. I mean, there's also questions of because he hasn't played all year, how is his conditioning? How is his body? Is he going to be able to just jump right in? But he's at least worth a workout, right? He is. In my opinion, he's a guy that I think you bring in, true 7-footer. He's still only 33 years old, so he's not ancient. He's not 36, 37, 38. So, and again, he's going to play a limited role. He's not a guy that's going to come in and play heavy dosage minutes. And if it works out great, it's like, dude, look, if you come in and you play great, we'll keep you. We're going to need other big men in the offseason, right? So come in, be a part of this team, buy in, show us what you got, dominate on the defensive side, dominate on the boards. Whatever points you get is just a bonus, right? You're going to be a lob threat, going to be a guy that is going to get his touches from time to time, but it's not going to be regular. And, if you can play the role of shot blocker and rebounder and do the dirty work, you have a role on this Lakers. That would be beautiful. I really believe that he would have the largest impact. A guy that could get you in 20 minutes could get you a double-double. And on top of that, give you 2 blocks per game. That's the kind of guy you need. You need a guy that can come in and you don't lose any of the defense with Anthony Davis. Mo Bamba is capable of giving you, block shots, but defensively on his own, he's not a great individual defender. Hassan Whiteside is a better individual defender. He's also not a bad pick and roll defender for a big man. He's actually a guy that is good in those spots. So he's a guy that I really do think could make a real impact. But beyond that, then it's just kind of like, pick your poison kind of thing. Guys that I don't think will make as big of an impact. Serge Ibaka, his ability to stretch the floor, again, would be nice. But he's not the guy he once was. This isn't Ibaka, right? Or Ibaka, right? The old school nickname from the OKC days. But he is a vet that could come in and play limited minutes. Maybe he could have an impact. My concern is that he just doesn't really have it anymore. If you've watched him play in the recent years, he doesn't have that athleticism. He doesn't have that movement. He doesn't have that lift that he once did. But maybe in 10 minutes per game, maybe he could provide you something. Also his ability to play the 4 because he can stretch the floor. That would be nice, give you some versatility. So I'm not completely against Serge Ibaka. I wouldn't be upset if we signed him. It's not my favorite signing. But also for other mentions, Dwight Howard, no, stay away from Dwight Howard. I see a lot of people that mention Dwight and say, what about Dwight Howard? One, he was terrible last year. He was super slow, doesn't have the athleticism anymore, and he was a big locker room issue. I don't know if people remember, but do you remember Dwight Howard literally fighting Anthony Davis on the sidelines? There is no way that I see them bringing Dwight Howard back. I just don't. He's going to stay where he's at. I don't see anyone bringing him in. And then you have Derek Favors. That might be a solid addition. But personally, I'd rather go the defensive route. Derek Favors really doesn't give you a lot of defense, right? Same thing with Greg Monroe. I believe Greg Monroe's still out there. Again, a guy that could give you some scoring, give you some low post threats. But I'd rather go with that floor running, shot blocking, rebounding big, or go with that big, body down low into DeMarcus Cousins. Those are the two that I lean. I lean towards you get a floor running big and Hassan Whiteside. You get a guy that can come in, block shots, rebound. Yes, he does get disengaged at times. Yes, he does get lost at times. But again, hopefully, we've seen guys like Carmelo Anthony, get a big piece of humble pie, and all of a sudden it's all right, let me play the role that they want so I can continue to play the game of basketball. Because if Hassan Whiteside comes to the Lakers and he doesn't do what he needs to do and the Lakers cut him, that's it. He's probably done. His career is over. And his career is not because he wants it to be, but because he just couldn't get himself together. So that's a big thing. But anyway, this is unfortunate news. It sucks. But I still think we're fine. Mo Bamba is great, but he's not this huge impact guy. It's not like we're losing, a D'Angelo Russell or LeBron James or, an Anthony Davis, knock on wood, something like that, right? This is a guy that, is playing 10 minutes per game, has had some DNPs, he's more of a development project, right? Raw talent, raw potential. There's a reason Orlando just gave him to us for a second round pick, right? That's something that people forget too, I feel. People think he's this superstar stud. He's not. If he was, we wouldn't have gotten him so cheaply. I mean, literally, all we got, we basically just swapped him for a second round pick that we got from Denver. So did it cost us anything? We essentially got him for free for a reason. Because he's raw. He has potential, but he needs working. So if we could come in, get a savvy vet that could come in and play that role, I think that would have a nice little impact. But anyway, as always, I want to pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Who do you want? Love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.